Well, hello everybody and welcome to Jeff's Baking Blog. Today I'm going to make some coconut and chocolate muffins. So this is going to have some coconut flour inside and some coconut milk instead of buttermilk or such like. And then with a little bit of coconut sprinkled on the top as well, after we've mixed everything in with the chocolate and the cocoa powder. So it's quite a simple recipe, and for it I have put paper cases into a 12-hole muffin tin, and I have my oven preheating at 170 Celsius, that's 150 Celsius with a fan, or 340 Fahrenheit. And for the ingredients I have 230 grams, which is 1.5 cups plus 2 teaspoons of plain flour. I have 200 grams of coconut milk, which is about 2/3 of a cup plus a tablespoon. I have 150 grams of caster sugar, which is 3/4 of a cup. I have 50 grams of coconut flour, and that works out at 1/2 cup. Now, if you don't have coconut flour, you could get some desiccated coconut and just blitz it in a processor for a little bit to break it up a bit. I have 15 grams, which is 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder. I have 100 grams, which is 1/2 cup of dark chocolate chopped up and then melted. I have 30 grams of butter, which is just about melted. Now, you could use oil if you didn't want to use butter, but I prefer butter. I have 2 medium eggs, which will be large in the USA, and I have 2 teaspoons, 7 grams of baking powder. And so the first thing to do is to mix the eggs and the sugar together. So I'm going to do that into a bowl, and I'm going to use my hand mixer simply because it's quicker that way, but you can do all this by hand. So I've mixed that for about 1.5 minutes or so, and then I'm going to add in the coconut milk and the butter. And that butter there's a little bit solid, but it will break down quite easily with the whisk. And I'm going to mix that in. And with that mixed in, I'm going to add the melted chocolate, and mix that in. And so with that mixed, I'm going to then sift in, and I'm only sifting because of the cocoa powder, which tends to clump. I'm going to sift the flour, the cocoa powder and the baking powder onto the top of the wet mixture. This is so that I can break up any lumps. And then I'm very slowly going to mix that in. And I just finished mixing that with the spatula so I could scrape down the side of the bowl. And then onto the top of that I'm going to sprinkle my coconut flour, and I'm simply going to use the spatula to mix that in. Now coconut flour, if you're using the flour as opposed to desiccated, absorbs liquid much more than plain flour does. So this is quite a wet liquid, but it will dry as the coconut flour begins to absorb. And then with our batter just mixed like that, I'm going to divide that into my paper cups. I'm going to use an ice cream scoop simply because it makes it easier. And with the mixture divided fairly roughly, what I have here is a couple of tablespoons of shredded coconut, but you could use desiccated coconut, and I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of that on the top of each one. You don't have to do this, of course, but and some of it will get covered by the muffin as they rise, I'm sure, but and so with that I'm going to put those into the oven now, and I'm going to let them bake for 20 minutes until a skewer poked into the centre comes out clean. Then I take them out, let them cool down for a couple of minutes before I transfer them to a wire rack, and then when they've cooled completely I'll come back and show you the results. The chocolate coconut muffins baked for 20 minutes, and I tested them with a skewer, and that came out clean except on one, so I left that in for an extra couple of minutes, but the others I took out. So this is what they look like, and they bake quite nicely. And so I'll have a taste of one. I've broken this one in half. I have a lovely soft texture with the chocolate flavour, and I can actually taste a hint of the coconut in the cake itself, or the muffin itself should I say, from the coconut flour and the coconut milk. So these are actually very easy to make and quite tasty. So I hope you've enjoyed the video, and if you have, please give me the thumbs up below and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there would be an eye that you can click on, which will take you to this recipe, and I'll put a link to it below the video as well. And I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future, so until then, happy baking.